The French had asked for a support offensive by the British and the Russians to relieve the French at the Battle of Verdun. Now, the British responded to this by another operation on the Western Front, and the Russians responded with one on the Eastern Front, of which I will go over at the end of the week. Now, this battle that the British done is one of the greatest tragedies in British history, but also one of the greatest victories in British history. I'm of course talking about the Battle of the Somme. Now, just before I go into all the details and stuff, I have been suffering from an illness, so if I sound weird, then just excuse it. So, the Battle of the Somme was Britain's response to the Battle of Verdun, to hopefully relieve stress upon the French and to weaken the German forces. It's not exactly the best planned offensive that I've ever seen. The build-up to the Somme was kind of obvious. A one-week artillery barrage firing over 1 million shells at the German lines to hopefully destroy the trenches. Also, plum pudding bombs were used, so that would hopefully mash the barbed wire up so that there would be no barbed wire. Except it made it worse. Even on the day of the Somme, 10 minutes before 0 hour, 10 minutes, way too long may I add, the British detonated 5 hill mines, which can still be seen along the Somme River today. This gave the Germans the opportunity they needed to come out of their concrete bunkers, which they'd been sheltering in for the past week, to come up, set up their machine guns, and get ready for the attack. Now, the British officers told their troops, don't worry, you will not need your rifles. The Germans, there aren't any Germans over there. Why would you ever need any rifles to kill nothing? Oh, and don't run, because there's no need to run. We're just going to casually stroll up and take the trenches. 0 hour comes along, which is 7 o'clock, and the officers blow the whistle. The troops do as the officers say. They don't take their rifles. They walk across no man's land, but then they hear machine gun fire. Yeah, the enemy that they fought wasn't there, was there. Now, this didn't just happen once. They sent another wave over half hour later, and another one half hour after that. On the first day of the Somme alone, 55,000 casualties had been lost. One of the greatest losses of life for the British Empire. Obviously, they learnt from this and they never done that again. But they employed new tactics such as creeping barrage, where artillery shells would be dropped just in front of your troops to mask the troops and to make the enemy presume that attack was imminent but not immediate. This of course worked somewhat well. Obviously you need to keep timings and all, which didn't always happen. And the Anzacs believe that you're not close enough to your creeping barrage if your men aren't getting killed by it. Don't ask me why. Now, partway through the attack at the Somme, which by the way lasted from July to September of 1916, something new creeped onto the battlefield, unknown to German wits. Now, one attack, machine gunners started seeing this massive object creeping across no man's land. What is this? It has a metal body. It has guns all over it. What is this? What do I do with this? Like, how do I kill it? Obviously, they thought bullets were the answer, which were not the answer. And the first tank used at the Somme was only one of 3. One of which had broke down while getting to the front line, and one of which didn't even make it to near the front line. Obviously this evolved into the French making tanks and eventually the Germans. By the end of the Battle of the Somme, it was just a sheer bloodbath. The British did win, capturing 14 kilometres of ground, but they ended up with more casualties than the Germans. The Germans were playing defensive in this war. So, that is it about one of the greatest battles in British history, and one that I've really wanted to do for some time. So, in my next video, well, in my video after my next video, will be the Russians' response to the Battle of Verdun, and in my next video, I will be talking about Iron Giants. Obviously, I'm referring to the first series that I've done on this channel, which are tanks.